Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for clicking on this video. It's going to be a special one. Why? Well, I've never done something like this, and I'm not sure something like this has been done before on YouTube. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my training to become a grandmaster. Now, what does that mean? Well, I played a tournament in Vegas in June 2021. Many of you know that. But I'm going to try to play a chess tournament once every month. Why? I enjoy the training, and I want to be strong competitively, and I want you all to follow along. I want to do this. And today I played 2 training games against an anonymous international master, and I'm going to try to make this a weekly thing. I will upload the 15-minute game first, then I will show you the analysis of the game afterward. All I want from you is to tell me if you enjoy this kind of content and you want to see more of it. I'm not afraid of leaking my openings because chess is a very wide game. There's a lot of move orders you can employ, and I'm not afraid of my future opponents watching these videos. And if they are, hi. All right, that's basically it. Let's get into it. I think that's it. I think we're ready to go. E4, we're going to start out with C6. Curious what my opponent has prepared for me because as I said in the introduction, okay, D4, D5. Now, I'm either expecting this or this. There's knight C3. Obviously, I told my opponent I would be playing the Caro-Kann. So here, no surprises thus far. I take on E4. And now the big question is, do I play the Tartic Hour or the Classical? Now, I happen to know what my opponent plays in the Tartic Hour. I think I know what he'll play if I go here, but he might surprise me. Both of these are in my repertoire. This is so far the main line. Now it goes H4. He might play, right, so he plays knight to H3. I was kind of expecting this, but I was also expecting potentially for him to go E5. Now, knight H3 is a very tricky move, because the idea is to play knight F4 and play H4, H5, and then get at my bishop. It's very difficult for black to also choose which move to play here. So personally, I think the way my prep went was E6, knight F4, and queen C7. Queen C7, this move, is what I remember here, with the idea to play H4, bishop D6, and be ready. And you don't play bishop D6 first, because knight H5 can be pretty annoying. This move is a waiting move. Now, I'm sure he's familiar with it, because Joe Bava has played it. It's a common idea. Judging by the fact that he's now thinking, I think I'm pretty happy. And again, I really don't think that I'm going to be talking the entire time. I'll have to think at some point, but for now, and I will edit the silence out. C3. So 1, 2, and 3. I don't know which one is better. Bishop D6, knight H5. Probably knight F6 is the best move that I have. Knight F6 to go bishop D6. What is the other idea of C3? Maybe some queen F3 he wants. I'm going to play knight F6. Normally, this just prevents anything from coming to H5. And since he never actually played the move H4, preventing me from playing this and damaging my structure, right now I don't care if he takes my bishop because I open up my rook. I'm just going to play knight F6 and bishop D6. And at some point, I can even break in the center with these 2 moves. Play knight C6 or knight D7. Yeah, there's H4. I'm curious, what is the point exactly? Ah, was the point to play queen F3? Oh, that's very interesting. And now C2 is protected. It's not under attack anymore. Aha. Bishop D6, queen F3. Maybe knight D5? I see his point. Hey, stop rattling. Queen F3. The thing is, I think I can always go there, but I don't like H6. I am not a fan of that move. I'm not a fan of H6 coming in and doing some damage. So I'm thinking to go here. here, here, and then I can even give a check and play bishop e4. Not the dumbest thing I've ever done. I don't want to take because then he can get a tempo on my queen. Is there anything I'm missing? Knight d5, maybe. What about knight d5, h5? I guess I can take. I'm gonna go knight d5. If I give up the bishop pair, I don't think I'm completely dissatisfied. Queen f3, that was the point of c3, to get rid of this. Well, now I have to review that from my notes. I didn't remember what to do after c3. And now I do. Okay, so he took on g6. That is actually very surprising. Because I'm pretty sure the whole point of putting the knight on f4 is not to take on g6. But I guess he'll play like this, or I don't know what he's gonna do actually. I don't like that move at all. It just kind of justified all my play. And if he ever plays a move like c4 to get rid of my knight, that doesn't really scare me because first of all, I can go back, and second of all, I have this check. Right, so he's going for the two bishops versus knight position. Now, the first thing that I'm thinking about is putting the bishop on f4 and trading it. At the same time, I want to just win time. I guess I can also play bishop e7, which attacks this. So bishop e7, g3 is not unreasonable, although bishop e7, h5. Time might be of the essence here in this position. And maybe going here actually isn't the stupidest thing ever. Take on c1. Even put my queen there in the future. If he takes, what do I take with my knight? I don't know. I don't like bishop f4. It seems like it's overextending a bit. Bishop e7, pawn to h5. Is there a threat? Take and maybe take f7. I think I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna play the bishops versus knights position. Actually, I think time is important, and I think if I can solidify my position and play bishops versus knights, I'm not completely unhappy. But he's gonna get a nice position. He'll probably play g3 and maybe develop this bishop and this bishop. Okay. But I'm solid. Typical Caro-Kann position. I need to be careful not to blunder f7. I'm not going to, but just important. Now, notice everything is back. So the question is, where's he going to castle? Now, he could play like bishop d2. Bishop g5 doesn't make sense because I'll play f6. I know Ben Feingold said not to, but I'm not going to listen. So, yeah, there's g3. It's what I said. Now, but still, I don't know. I like this move. e5 is a move which justifies the winning of time. But maybe he'll play bishop h3 and take the diagonal. Long castle, queen f7, rook f8, queen g6. Looks exotic and probably bad for me. I can also play long castle, queen f7, e5, but I do have to protect against... I mean, I could play f5, but that looks stupid. Yeah, I'm thinking just knight f6. I don't really see a reason why I need to get tangled up in... Actually, I think castle's long is completely fine. Queen f7, e5 looks really promising. Just... I mean... And then attacking him down the e file. I don't think he has the time to take my f7 pawn. If he wants to call my bluff, I'm all for it. I mean, the thing is, in a classical game, I wouldn't play this without a lot of thought. I'm playing this more on instinct. Of course, I could have just played knight f6. That's much more reasonable. But we'll see what the computer says. I don't know if the computer would take the bait. But this is my idea. It protects g6, opens up the center. Queen f7, e5, queen g7 can run into at least a draw. We can repeat moves. So I'm not... Draw with black versus a strong international master. Can't be bad. But Of course, if I was playing a lower rated player, then I wouldn't have that luxury. Now, I think white is slightly better because of, again, the bishops, but I have a lot of benefits myself. I'm completely developed, and my structure looks much more traditional. And white's king is still kind of stuck in the center here. So, like, I don't know what this is, right, in terms of traditional structure. Obviously, white's better bishop is the light squared bishop because all the pawns are on dark squares. Its bad bishop is the dark squared bishop. And white has pretty thorough lack of development here. I think knight e4 really wasn't. Knight g6, knight e4 was incorrect. But that's just my assessment, and we will see. We will see what the truth is. This never works because queen b4 is very strong. And if bishop blocks, I take the pawn attacking the rook. Yeah, he's going to spend some time calculating queen f7, e5. My point is that this is incredibly strong for me. Attacking his queen and going to f3. King is always safe. And if he plays a slow move, then I don't know. We'll see what happens. I guess he really doesn't like his position. Otherwise, you just sort of play bishop g2 and you figure it out. But I think he understands that this is coming. But I'm sort of curious why he's not playing this faster, because that kind of counteracts the whole e5 plan. At least I thought it did, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe I still go e5. See, when your opponents start to think for a long time, I don't know if this is right or not, you start gaining confidence. In the sense that you're like, okay, my opponent doesn't like their position. And I wonder why. I wonder what they're thinking. I wonder what they're ruminating upon. And there is bishop h3, but I thought that move was going to come a lot faster. And so now here's the question. My first instinct is to just play e5 or rook e8 or king b8 to just get the king out of there. I also really like this move f5. The drawback of just blocking the bishop, but the drawback of f5 is that my opponent gets to play bishop here. That is a major drawback. I could consider this. What about c5? This is a move I'm not even thinking about. e5, queen f7, ed4, take. Queen is almost trapped. I have queen b4 in that position. Wow, very wild game. And potentially arise. e5 short castle is a thing, but then f5. E5 and then f5. That looks really good. f5, bishop g5, rook e8, long castle. So see, the reason I'm not doing f5 is because my opponent can still go long. I mean, even e5 there is fine, but and e5 takes, I have queen e5. I also have like, What about just queen e2 blocks? Rook e8 takes, rook e5, king moves, double up. Am I happy there? Am I happy after e5? e5, de, rook e8? Flip the move order a little bit. I'm gonna do it. It's about to get really spicy. This is about to become very, very spicy here. I don't know if that's the right move, but it's the alternatives were just a slow play by putting the knight on f6, and then there would have been bishop g5, and then maybe king b8. He takes on f7. Okay, so this is protected. I guess he's banking on this, but that doesn't work, actually. Doesn't work. Okay, I take on d4. This is what I had calculated. And so now he doesn't have queen e6 because rook e8 pins the queen. And if queen g7, I don't know. The threat would be in some lines to take rook takes and take my rook, but I have my queen still here. Not to mention dc3. I mean, I can just continue the capture chain. But also the king is wide open. I don't think he can just let me check the king. He's really negated his development here. Like, really. Yeah, there's short castle. The move's it's a move I thought was necessary. Wow, what a wild position. Okay. do I take on c3? Or do I push? I can just push the d pawn. Wow, I don't know. I really want to play knight e5. Like, if I can play knight e5, I'm just so happy, but if I play king b8, that wins me time. But it opens up things for him, which I don't like. This also could win me time. But then might come rook d1. King b8. Wow. d3. Rook d1, king b8 to go knight to e5. There's also d3, queen f3 back, but I don't think... that actually also doesn't look terrible for him. And I have to calculate these moves. Unbelievable position. Oy, oy, oy. Alright, I've decided to take. I think it's the most forcing move I have. And I'm not convinced it's the best move at all. And I've just realized I've actually made a mistake in my calculations. Because I was going to play king b8 here, but I realized there's rook b1 and I don't have knight e5 because mate. Chess is a hard game, huh? Which now makes me think I should go back to this idea, maybe. Wow. Rook f8. Rook g... Man. There's also just queen f6. Like, stubbornly trying to trade the queens here. That actually, that's not that... Is that's stupid? Something like this. This is actually my... This is my new bailout plan. Just play queen f6. I don't know. I really don't know. It's obviously not ideal to play like this against them. Like, I was gonna play something else, but... and my opponent can still trade on his own terms. He can still play queen e6, which kind of trades on his own terms, but also loses a pawn, so... I'm not sure how much he wants to do that. And my idea is, of course, to undouble. Actually, undoubling my pawns there would be perfect. And then... Let's take like this. Plus, now I actually have g5. Sort of hidden in all this is the fact that I'm threatening to go g5. Just straight up winning a pawn. So his play will probably revolve around something here. It's really nice he can't just freely develop his bishop. He will probably need to play c4, yep. Although I can drop back and try to win this pawn. Or play knight c3 to go knight e2. And knight c3 looks pretty stupid. I'm going to go here and try to win his... I don't know. I mean, I also have to play faster. And another idea is to play f5 and block out the bishop, which I like a lot because that actually activates my other knight. Wow, I don't know what's going on. I like... My structure seems better because I have 2 islands of pawns. And he has 3. g5. Now, I'm not quite threatening g5 because there is bishop takes d7. Rook takes and then takes. It's kind of a fake threat. But it is there. And if he plays c5, I can't take it because I'm pinned. But I can just go back. Or I can play knight to a4 and just try to win the pawn. Like, for example, c5, knight a4, I don't know, bishop e3, king c7, and how do you protect? I guess you need to play like rook c1, the threat of rook c4, and then I can play knight to e5. Yeah, c5 actually is probably his best move. I think he has to play it. And then most likely I will just go back to the center, actually. I like controlling his bishop. And after I play knight d5, I'll most likely block out his light-squared bishop. And I actually don't see any problems with my position at that point. It's a fascinating position. And you know, I thought I was playing against the dark-squared bishop, but very quickly I can change my complex and play against this light-squared bishop instead. I don't know. There is also, now that I think about it, tactical defense. Try to get my pawn, but... I don't know, that gives me a pass C pawn. I don't know how I feel about that. This pawn's gonna be tough to defend. Does play C5. I'm gonna go with my second plan, which is putting my knight in the center, blocking the D file, and negating the development of his bishop. That's my plan. I'm not gonna focus on the C5 pawn. I'm gonna make him focus on the C5 pawn, because this is a liability forever. Any rook, any knight, and even rook H5 in some positions will become very useful to target this isolated weakness. I think it's at least equal, and I think the tide is slowly shifting to black having the advantage. If I can win a pawn. That is a good move. That does counteract my plan of pushing that pawn. Now the question is, do I want to play rook H5 or do I want to put my rook in the center? If I put my rook in the center, he might offer me a trade of them, and then I can play F5. I do have G5 though. G5, take. Double my rooks. I don't think there's anything there. I can unpin this knight. Ooh, that's an idea. And then I'm threatening knight C5. This kind of forces his hand. It kind of forces this, or rook C1. So it forces something. King C7. It forces something. If he gives away the bishop, I think. Ooh. Here, bishop D5. Rook D5, bishop F6. I kind of miss this, I'm not gonna lie. Knight E5, F4. Knight D3. Oh, he can just take that. I think I'm gonna go for this. I think I'm gonna go for this endgame. This is a very big decision. I have a 3-on-1 and so does he. I really have no idea who's better here. I really don't. I mean, it seems like I should be, because he's a bit passive. I can win a few moves, like I can attack his bishop, I can go down there and I can play knight E4. But I truly have no idea. He's trying to get back here. That's the magic square for his position. Knight E4, bishop E3, rook F3, king G2. The hardest thing about this is figuring out what exactly I want. Where do I want my pieces? Wow. I don't know. I would be lying if I knew. If I told you I knew. One thing, oh man, I have no idea. You know what I think? I think I'm just gonna push my pawn. I think there's no point playing with my pieces. I think I need to play where I have my strength, and I think my strength right now is I have pawns. And I think I'm slowly going to push them. That's my plan right now. I guess he's trading rooks with me. Wow, this is such a wild endgame. I have no idea what to think. Because my king is going to protect everything. My king will play, I'll play king d7 and everything will be protected. Yeah, I don't... Wow, he plays rook c1. He reconsiders the rook trade. Well, now I have to push. Just b5 and c4, a5 too. Or maybe a6 to avoid getting hit with some stupid stuff over there. Just gonna try to play b5, c4. Like, really, actually, I think I can play c4. Knight is a bit loose. King d7 or rook d6. Let's go here. Guard everything. Then my king comes next. I don't know. He has a lot of light squared liabilities, but it's really hard for my knight to move to them. Yeah, we're both just bringing the whole squad here. I mean, this is so tense. I have no clue. Like, am I supposed to push my c pawn, or am I supposed to play b4, a5, and like to play for b3? Yeah, there go his pawns. I guess f4 is coming soon. All right, well, here we go. I mean, I truly have... This is one of the wildest endgames I think I've ever played. Rook h1. I don't believe in that move, because this king is just so open. I don't know. But maybe I should be believing in it. Oh, I'm getting low on time. c4, knight d4, rook e5, rook d3. Okay, I'm gonna bring you back just so this rook always patrols what's going on. Do I play g5 here to lock out the bishop? Or do I take to open up the king? I don't have a lot of time. I'm just gonna go with g5. I don't know. I really don't know. He can push that pawn more and more. And he can try to play rook to h6. That can be an idea for him. Rook d7. I'm going to play c4 so my pawn's no longer a liability. I have 2 seconds bonus, which is not a lot. Yeah, rook h6 is a move. Oh, did I have knight f8? Oh, wow, I have knight f8 in some position. Maybe I even had knight f8 there, but rook h6 is very strong. He still can play rook h5 or rook h6. I'm just glad I got my c pawn out of the way. It's all tricks now, basically. You can play for tricks, but I have knight f4 also. Check. I have my own trick. And if he plays rook h1, I have c3. So I have plenty of my own stuff here, too. I think this works. He has a4, though. He can play a4. Which is something I really did not bother calculating that much. But I think takes and a4 is winning for him. He has a4, yep. And he spots it. Oh, but I have king c6. Wait a minute. I can defend my pawn, and that defends... Oh, but does he have rook? Oh, man. Oh, no. He has rook b8, and he's winning. Why did he let me do that? He had rook b8. He was just winning after rook b8. Now I can take. I'm probably still in trouble because I just don't have a lot of time. But I have hope now. Let's play c3. I don't know what... Oh, I hung my rook. Ah, brutal, 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 brutal game. Oh, yeah. Whew. So everything I kind of talked about during the game itself is self-explanatory. Knight to h3 is a bit of a sideline, and I had a feeling my opponent was going to play either this or on move 3 play the advanced variation. He plays one of the two. Where I got a little bit confused was here, because I thought I messed something up. I thought I wasn't supposed to allow the position to get like this. and he told me, it was really funny, that his preparation is 100% to go for this line. And I was thinking that he was improvising and he was playing it slow. So there you go. He goes g3, and the computer absolutely loves queen f7, e5, or the way it happened in the game, and bishop h3. The computer thinks that white is doing well here. I take on d4, but why does the computer think white is doing well? Well, time. Short castle. And, you know, here I spent a lot of time analyzing whether to play king b8, whether to attack the queen somehow, and I, you know, even d3, for example, dc3. In all of these variations, the computer just wants to take on g7 and get out with the queen. That's it. It just wants to take another pawn and escape. And on dc3, in my mind, it was automatic that my opponent would do this, but it's not. And even we can learn from auto recaptures. Apparently, the best move is to go bishop g5. Just time. Get all the pieces out, look perfect, attack my rook, and if I play here, just queen g7. And white is completely winning because white's bishops are extremely strong. Like the perfect spot for the bishops, right? Not close combat, distance shooting. And that was a big mistake. I mean, I guess entering this was a big mistake for me. What I should have done instead, I guess even here, well, I should have entered all of this, but I should have played apparently e5 without castling long. And I also should have, in this position, not played e5. Apparently, I should have played f6 and then e5, which does make sense. But queen f6 is a timely move. Finding queen f6 is very important. As you see in the video, it didn't take me, I didn't see it at first. I wasn't even considering it. And then I went, his queen's too strong. I need to get rid of it. And this position, he lost his advantage. So what he should have done is he should not have undoubled my pawns. Remember during the game I said queen e6 is a bit strange because it allows me to win this pawn. Well, it's not quite the case. Actually, letting me win this pawn is completely fine because you keep my pawns together. The way he did it is he undoubled my pawns, and that helped me out a lot, and that gave me activity and kind of a much more fluid structure throughout the game. Now here, the engine thinks that black is playing this for a win. The most instructive moment, obviously, is that he didn't trade rooks with me, although probably he should. He probably should trade rooks because of time. He wins time. He lost time in the game, and then a move later, I lost time. Here, I should just play king c6, a5, and push my pawns. This move does nothing. It looks pretty, but it accomplishes zero, because he was never threatening to win my knight. Bishop f4 I take, and bishop c5 I take, or rook takes. I'm not, there's no danger, but because I spent the move doing this, and then, I mean, obviously after that, it's just total chaos. Here, of course, h5 is the threat that I can stop like this. I just thought this was a very ugly move. I didn't want to go backwards. But I don't want to go backwards. That's a verbal explanation. That doesn't mean anything, right? Now, of course, we could repeat moves. That is possible. He told me he would do that. But rook d8, and what's funny is that at this point, once I realized that h7 allows rook h6, I thought I was losing, and I'm correct. The computer thinks that white is much better here. King g3, and I played knight back to f8. And what I completely forgot about was this move a4. And in my mind, I was like, I have to play this. I can't take and let him take. What I completely didn't realize was the move b4, even though it loses the c4 pawn, isn't losing for me. The reason I didn't play this is because if I play knight takes h7 now, this is terribly depressing. And yet it's still completely fine. See, again, in my mind, I was like scared, but there's nothing really to be afraid of here. And the craziest thing is I have knight e6, and I defend g5 and I disallow this. It's just a patient move, but I had no time. I spent all my time when he played rook h1 panicking, and I didn't come up with a good response. Now, obviously, he shouldn't have played rook h6. He has a4 even here, and he has really good opportunities. But his whole maneuver here, king g2, g4, and rook h1 was very scary for me. And it totally just caught me by surprise. And by the way, you see the time I spent going here. I ended up having to go back. So really chaotic game, interesting game, and just one game from the training footage, but I hope you enjoyed it. There was two, but together it would have been like an 80-minute video. So you tell me what you want. We can make it 10-minute games, and then I can upload 2 of them. But if you watched the whole thing and you enjoyed it, hopefully this gave you some new interesting perspective on Caro-Kann's and thought process and candidate move selection and bishops versus knights and whatever. Anyway, welcome to the behind the scenes footage, and this is not the last thing that I will upload. And thank you once again for your support. I'll see you in the next video. Get out of here.